We're here in Monaco for the Grand Prix. Let's take a tour of the track.
So starting off the lap along the main straight, which is the shortest in Formula 1, here the drivers will reach speeds of over 170 miles per hour before stomping on the brakes into turn 1. The first corner on the circuit is Saint Devote, a challenging right-hander which is named after the small chapel just behind the runoff for the turn, which was built to commemorate the patron saint of Monaco, Devote. Drivers often struggle with this corner thanks to how tight it is and the fact that the braking point is in the shade, so you'll often see drivers heading off into the runoff. Getting a good exit is super important here because of the long uphill straight that follows. So heading up the hill, which is surprisingly steep, we reach Beau Rivage, meaning beautiful coastline, a fast kink in the straight where the drivers will be reaching speeds of around 155 miles per hour. As you can see, the corner has earned its name as the view from up here over the harbour is incredible, especially as the yachts moor up ahead of the Grand Prix weekend. Continuing up the hill and under the banner, we reach Massenet, one of the fastest corners on the circuit and one of the most blind too. In order to get a clean exit out of the corner, the drivers will need to be wary of where they place the cars entering into the turn and where they apex the corner. Unbeknownst to many, the Monte Carlo Opera House sits on the edge of this corner and has a statue of French opera composer Jules Massenet outside, which is who this corner gets its name from. Almost immediately after Massenet, we head into turn 4, Casino. Unsurprisingly, Casino takes the drivers past the 158-year-old Casino, possibly the most famous building in Monaco. You likely won't see Charles Leclerc heading inside however, as Monegasque citizens are banned from entering the gaming rooms. The Casino marks the highest point of the track and so it's downhill from here. Next up is Mirabeau Haut, named after the Lee Mirabeau building which overlooks one of the most iconic sections of track in Formula 1. You may remember Mirabeau Haut from last year, as many drivers slid off into the runoff after heavy rain during the Grand Prix. It's another tricky corner as it's so tight and there's a large bump on the approach, so drivers will need to move to the right of the track to avoid the bump and then back over to the left to take the corner. Heading out of Mirabeau Haut and towards the Fairmont Hotel, we reach the slowest corner on the Formula 1 calendar, the Hairpin. This hairpin has had a few names over the years, such as Lowes and Station, but is currently known as the Fairmont Hairpin. This corner has remained unchanged since the 1920s and requires the drivers to crank the steering as much as they can and slow to just 50 km an hour in either first or second gear. Out of the hairpin there's just a short run down to the second Mirabeau corner, Mirabeau Basse. It's here that the drivers will put a wheel or two up onto the pavement to apex the tight corner before they continue the run down to Portier. Turn 8 or Portier is named after the Le Portier neighbourhood in Monaco. There's a lot of construction in this area at the moment as Monaco continue to build their land extension and so the corner is not quite as open as it once was. This corner is perhaps most famous for being where Ayrton Senna crashed in 1988 while leading the Grand Prix and gifted victory to his teammate Alain Prost. Turn 9 is named the tunnel for obvious reasons, as it's where the drivers experience a swift change in visibility as they pass through the dark seaside tunnel at around 150 miles per hour through a mostly blind apex and then back out into the blinding daylight and straight into the heavy downhill braking zone for the Nouvelle chicane. As the drivers exit the tunnel they'll pass the Monaco Yacht Club and for pedestrians there's an opportunity to look out over the harbour and back towards the Principality. If drivers are brave enough, the braking zone into the Nouvelle chicane is one of the only overtaking opportunities on the circuit. The drivers will get incredibly close to the wall on the inside of the chicane, clip the curb and again get incredibly close to the wall on the exit of the chicane. Out of the chicane and down to turn 12, which is simply named Tabac after the small tobacco shop beside the track. Due to its proximity to the sea and marina, this corner hasn't changed in almost 100 years. Now the drivers will pass the line of yachts that overlook the run down to the first chicane of the swimming pool complex named after Louis Chiron, a Monegasque driver who placed third in the Grand Prix in 1950. The swimming pool complex was only added in 1973 after the construction of the Rainier 3rd Nautical Stadium, home to, you guessed it, a swimming pool. Turns 15 and 16 are at the exit of the swimming pool chicane and pose another unique challenge to the drivers as they try to place the car as close to the wall heading into the chicane and clip the curb without unbalancing the car and heading into the wall. You may remember when Charles Leclerc crashed here in 2021, causing him driveshaft damage and meaning he was unable to start the Grand Prix from pole. Another short run to the next corner, La Rascasse, which is named after an old fisherman's bar, which is now a restaurant with the same name. The name refers to a rascasse, which is a type of fish found in the Mediterranean Sea surrounding the Principality. The corner is another very sharp left-hander, and drivers will often clip the rear left of the car on the Pirelli branded Armco on the exit of the corner. That brings us to the final corner, Anthony Notes, named after the founder of the Monaco Grand Prix, the very man who had the idea to bring Grand Prix cars to the tight streets of the Principality. From here, it's a run down the main straight, which is actually more of a curve, for the drivers to take the finish line and earn their lap time. As a bonus, we were also lucky enough to be able to head down the pit lane, which was open to the public on the Wednesday before the Grand Prix. As with any other pit lane in F1, the constructor that won last year's WCC can choose which end of the pits they want to place their garage, and from there the rest are ordered by their WCC positions. Here, Red Bull have chosen the garage closest to the pit entry, as it's the easiest for the drivers to enter into. The pit building in Monaco is iconic within the F1 world thanks to the reflective one-way film on the glass. This makes for some standout photographs with the car's reflections as they enter and exit the pits. This is one of the tightest pit lanes on the F1 calendar, and the exit used to be even tighter. After a meeting with Charlie Whiting in 2011, the pit lane exit was widened from 10 metres to 20 metres by removing a planter, allowing the cars to rejoin the track at a higher and safer speed. That's all for our tour of the Monaco circuit. We hope you learned something new ahead of the Grand Prix on Sunday. If you watched this far, comment your favourite moment from any Monaco Grand Prix and we'll pin our favourite comment. And don't forget to subscribe to Apex for more deep dives into the F1 world.